1, 2, 3,
Every boy
4.
and girl, woman to man. When you feel you've done about the best you can, motherfuck the wagon, come join the band. Vibrate, vibrate higher. Every boy and girl, woman to man. When you feel you've done about the best you can, motherfuck the wagon, come join the band. Vibrate, vibrate higher. Sometimes, when it's late at night, and you have no one to talk to, here's what you do. You go through that raggedy cell phone about 2 or 3 times. Tracy ain't home. Tina ain't home. The love below starts talking to ya. Every boy and girl, woman to man. When you feel you've done about the best you can, motherfuck the wagon, come join the band. Vibrate, vibrate higher. Every boy and girl, woman to man. When you feel you've done about the best you can, motherfuck the wagon, come join the band. Vibrate, vibrate higher.
What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast, episode 12. It's your boy Jermaine Babbles. Welcome back for all you motherfuckers who've been rocking with me. Welcome back for all you motherfuckers who've been rocking with me. And hello, if it's your first time, welcome. It's Babylon 5 Podcast. I'm Jermaine Babbles, rapper, comedian, random ass nigga. That's my favorite title, random ass nigga. I mean, I guess people can give me their own titles. It's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you don't choose your nicknames. You don't choose your nickname. And not that I'm saying, give me a nickname. I'm saying you can, I am whatever you say I am, is what I'm trying to say to you. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? If you want to follow the podcast on Twitter, you should go ahead and do that because there's not a lot of followers. Shout out to Kat, she followed. I'm going to have Kat on soon. I just, I was like, damn, let's spread these calls out. Let's spread them out. I'm not sure when we're trying to do the next one. I just didn't want, I was like, damn, if I hit all these people up. I hit a few people up, and I was like, fuck, when am I going to space this out? Sorry I hit you guys up and then just, didn't respond. You probably never even listened to the podcast, but it's all good. But I'm going to try to space these calls out with some more people, some just cool-ass motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? If y'all enjoyed last week's episode, yeah, we're going to have a few more like that as we go along. As we go on, we remember all the good times. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal Twitter at My Name's Jermaine. You can email me at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow and subscribe to this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean. You can listen to it on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, or is it Apple Podcasts or whatever? I'm not sure these days. I don't know what they call it. This month is my golden birthday, turning 30. If you niggas didn't know, it's my olden birthday. And if I can have my druthers, all of my druthers, you know, niggas is finna do a honey roast. Niggas is finna do a honey roast. We finna see what's happening. A honey roast? My nigga, a honey roast. I guess I'll explain it since we're on the podcast. Why wouldn't I? A honey roast, ladies and gentlemen, it's the opposite of a roast. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting in my throne, and instead of people coming and saying mean things to me, they come and say really nice things that they really like about me. You know, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're doing for Jermaine's golden birthday. We're gonna throw a honey roast, my nigga. I think more people should live their lives that way. Anywho, I'm watching in the background. I tried to put on football. I was like, fuck it, let me try to watch football. I don't even know if the Packers are playing this week, or I don't watch. I don't know how it's going. Sean was saying to me last week, he's like, dude, the Packers are really good. You're going to, like, abandon the Packers? And I, like, looked at the score, like, toward the end. I was like, looks like the Packers are getting destroyed. I can judge it by if my neighbors are screaming or not. That's usually how I know how the Packers are doing. I don't even watch the games. The building that I live in is just like all younger motherfuckers who, I mean, there's some professionals here, you know what I'm saying? But when the Packers are playing, I don't even need to know when the Packers are playing, but I know when the Packers are playing because people all over the building are screaming and going crazy. And they only did that at one point. They were kind of angry, it seemed like, last week. It seemed like everybody was more so angry. And then I looked up the score and I was like, oh, I see why. Though, I'm sorry, just real thirsty. Motherfuckers was talking about, I'm saying Sean was talking about, oh, it's their year, they could win. I'm like, oh, let me check them out. Man, Conor McGregor cheating like a motherfucker. So I'm watching, Conor fight Khabib. I tried to watch football, but, like, I can't find it really interesting. I didn't want to watch it. Maybe that's why I'm not doing so good in fantasy this year. Not doing too good, ladies and gentlemen. If you noticed, I haven't mentioned it. I was going to pray to the fantasy gods on Facebook like I used to in past years, but I've stated that I was a fantasy football atheist at a certain point because I was just getting I was getting dominated in fantasy football. I was in probably 5 fantasy football leagues, and I was getting dominated in all of them, and that can do a lot to a man's ego, you know what I'm saying? It's real low on life, and it's just how that goes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. So I'm watching Conor and Khabib right now. Conor's cheating like a motherfucker. He's cheating, but he should have won that fight. So we're gonna talk about before I'm gonna give you guys some stories today. Gonna give you guys a few stories. Let's talk about some random things real quick. So I saw in the news, and it really annoyed me. They were talking about this. They said Eminem says he sides with Chris Brown in the Rihanna situation, which I thought was, looking at the headline, I'm like, that's an interesting thing to say from Eminem, given that he's worked with Rihanna a few times and seems to like... It definitely seems to me he would have more of a personal relationship with Rihanna as opposed to Chris Brown to say something like that. So then I clicked the article, and it says in the article that Eminem, that these lyrics were in a song that did not make the Relapse album, which came out 10 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember Eminem 10 years ago. Was that, I think that was the first album. After Encore, if I'm not mistaken, when he was just on drugs for years and nobody, you didn't see Eminem. You didn't see Eminem anywhere. I'm pretty sure that was the first album. And so if you're not a big Eminem fan, let me just get this right. Yep, that's the first album. Relapse was the first album that came out in 2009. Now, when I read that this was a song that didn't make the Relapse album, I clicked off. I was like, this is fucking clickbait. This is clickbait. You know what I said? I said, so the fuck what? If anything, ladies and gentlemen, if that song didn't make that album, it's because it didn't have enough shock value. That's what that meant. This is a song that leaked 10 years later, and it didn't make the album. So it wasn't intended to even see the light of day. It's just something he wrote, tried it out. You know what made the album? Lots of craziness. Lots of craziness made that album. 3 a.m. is a song about him blacking out, going on a massive killing spree. That's what 3 a.m. is about. First song on the album for Eminem. My Mom, about his drugs, his mom being addicted to Valium and all this, and that's why he's addicted to Valium. Insane is just, yeah. It's a song about his stepdad just molesting him and things like that, and him just being insane. Insane. Bagpipes from Baghdad is a pretty fire song, but he definitely has some pretty intense lines all through this album. I don't need to go into any of these lines, but what I'm saying is that this album is so violent and so all over the place. It's so inappropriate that I would say the only reason that song did not make the album would be because it did not have enough shock value for all the insanity that is on that album. It is just pure. If you've never listened to that album and like you put it on today, you're like, what the fuck is this? This is, it's the wildest Eminem album you'll ever hear. Like, he had crazy lines and crazy stories in the previous albums, but when he like first came back, it was like, all right, I'm giving you like the real Slim Shady, like super dark shit, like Jason Mask, Slim Shady. That was like what he was giving you, and he went super far into it. And that's why now he talks about it and says it was like the worst album. He said it was his worst album. And I understand now because Recovery, I don't think Recovery is sonically a better album, but he went super dark. He went too dark on Relapse. And that's why that song wouldn't have made the album. So it was clickbait that they would even put that up there, because have you heard the Relapse album? It's pretty fucking dark. That line isn't dark enough for the Relapse album. All right? That should be the article. Like, we found something that wasn't dark enough. That's what the headline should read. Hear this light shit compared to what he says on Stay Wide Awake. That second verse is my favorite verse, but Jesus Christ, if it's not inappropriate, if it's not the worst shit you've ever heard. UFC Babble, that's what I wrote in my notes, UFC Babble. Nate Diaz retired apparently from UFC, from MMA. UFC is just a league. Like, it's just a certain league. The NBA is just a league, but you could go play anywhere. You could go play overseas. You could play in the Canadian League if you so choose. I don't know, I forget the guy's name. There's this one guy who's apparently a really good player, but he has like an insane fear of flying. And because of that, he couldn't play in the NBA. He plays in the Canadian League. He's allowed to like drive everywhere he goes, and he's the MVP of the Canadian League. I don't know his name. But anywho, that's what I'm saying. The UFC is just a league. Nate Diaz said he's retiring. I mean, He's a millionaire at this point. He probably made. I didn't look at the payouts, but I know he made I think like $4 million or something for the first counter fight. I don't know how much he made for the second counter fight, and now he headlined that fucking pay-per-view. Pretty sure he made hella money. What I'm thinking about, they say Nate Diaz is so tough. He's so tough. He can take so much damage and just come back and win the fight. I think about those videos of if you look it up on YouTube, there's videos of boxers when they're young, how articulate they are. They seem like super smart individuals, and then fast forwards to current time. It'll show them when they're younger boxing, then it'll show them toward the end of the years of their boxing, and they're taking so much abuse, taking so many shots to the dome, and then they show them now and they can't speak. A lot of them can't really hear, they can't really communicate. They're having trouble with all that. That's what I think about with Nate Diaz. When I watched that Jorge Masvidal fight again, and I watched the damage that goes in on that he implies I watch all the damage he takes, and it's yeah, maybe you could have came back in the fourth and the fifth, but I don't think we should promote that style of fighting. I don't think that should be seen as that's the baddest motherfucker. Nate Diaz can barely, he's slurring all his words, naturally. Imagine Nate Diaz when he's 70 years old. You're not going to be able to understand a goddamn word Nate Diaz is saying. You're not going to be able to understand a goddamn word that Nate Diaz is saying. And you shouldn't praise someone who fights like that. You should praise Colby Covington. I didn't dress up for Halloween. I'm going to Vegas next month for UFC 245. And I was saying to my wife I wanted to dress in the same outfit or similar outfit to what Colby Covington wears. Normally it's the suit or whatever, the suit jacket and whatever, and the MAGA hat. And just for shits and giggles, because I just think that'd be cool. Because I'm cheering for Colby. I'm cheering for Colby Covington. I don't think I have to cheer for Usman just because he's black. I'm cheering for who I like in the fight, who I think is gonna win. That's not necessarily who I'm cheering for, who I think is gonna win. I think either one can win the fight. I feel like either competitor could win the fight. They have similar styles, but they operate in different spaces. What I like about Colby is that he does his damage and moves out of the way. He doesn't take a lot of damage. And that's the baddest motherfucker. The one that can whoop your ass and not allow you to get anything in. You know what I'm saying? That's the baddest motherfucker, those motherfuckers. Not the motherfucker who can just sit there and take a massive beating until his opponent, like the Homer Simpson shit. That's not the baddest motherfucker. That's the motherfucker is about to have some problems. Some huge problems. Not too far down the road. And what did Jorge? Jorge got hit a little bit and he was out of there. He was out of that space. He was moving. Then he was coming back with bombs. Hitting him up with those hooks to the body. Hook after hook to the body. And then those shots to the dome ski, of course, because the fight was stopped after that cut on the side of his head, which they showed the pictures next to each other. Nate Diaz said that was the exact same cut that I suffered in the Pettis fight back in August. I went to that fight in Anaheim, ladies and gentlemen, and they put up the picture next, side by side, and it's the exact same cut. It's the exact same cut that he was allowed to finish that fight. And in New York, they shut it down. The doctor who called the fight has said that he's received death threats. People are harassing him every day since he called that fight. It's the exact same cut. Nate Diaz retired. So now people are like harassing this man every day. Michael Shazaya said that that exact same doctor, he was like, that exact same doctor looked me in the eye. I don't know why I'm doing this voice like I heard him say it. He tweeted. He tweeted. So I don't know why I'm trying to do this Michael Shazaya voice. But he tweeted, that same doctor looked me in the eye and told me my leg was broken when I knew it wasn't. So I think that speaks to the integrity of the official, or I don't know. My thing is that things haven't been legal in that athletic commission that long, so mistakes are bound to happen. But I wouldn't fight there. If I was a fighter, they or anybody at that point. If you're not a fighter, I would definitely not fight there. But they fined Corey Anderson for unsportsmanlike conduct. They fined him like $10,000. I mean, at the end of the day, these fighters probably go home with $10,000. If you're on the main card, maybe. So it's basically like they just took his whole purse. It'll say like maybe they fought for like, I mean, he might have won like fight of the night. So maybe he got a $50,000 bonus. So maybe he's lucky. But so for the most part, those fighters at the end of the day, most of those fighters you see, they're going home with like $5,000, especially after the Reebok deal. Before the Reebok deal, when they could have logos all over their shorts, they would leave like, depending on however they set up their endorsements, whoever they were, they would leave like $100,000, depending on who you were, if you were a star. But now you're leaving with $5,000. But you better post to your Instagram wearing like a fucking Rockstar energy drink like t-shirt or something, you know? But you can't get that fight money. You can't get that fight money, but you can if you go to Bellator, which I think most fighters should look to go to Bellator first or anywhere else where you can wear logos. I think UFC is the only place where you can't because they got that Reebok deal. So I wouldn't do that. Anywho, let's move on from Nate. I hope Nate fights again, but if he does, I want him to a little head movement out there. Don't just stand there. Don't be the toughest guy out there. Don't be the guy where whenever they say, "Oh, this guy has a lot of heart," I'm like, "Oh, this dude's about to take a beating." That's what that means. That means he just keeps taking a beating. I want someone who can get out of the way and accurately like show me a skill in there, like, but don't just like, oh, I think he was tiring. That's what he said in the post-fight, too, is like, I think he was tiring out and things were about to get better for me. So it's like you were doing the Homer Simpson shit. You were just going to let him punch himself tired, but, like, you're taking all that abuse. He's not missing. It'd be cool if he was swinging and missing, but he's landing everything. You're just taking a lot of damage, man. It's not the way to do it. Greg Hardy fought yesterday. Greg Hardy fought 3 weeks' notice, fought Alexander Volkanov. Yeah. He fought Alex Volkanov or some shit. Some Russian dude in Moscow. I forget his name. I know he fought Derek Lewis last, and Derek Lewis knocked him out in like the last second of the last round. It was fucking ridiculous. I thought Greg Hardy could have won this fight, and I honestly think he could. I think he would have, honestly. It was a 3-round fight. In the first round, midway through the first round, he's landing. He's moving pretty good. He's landing on Volkanov. And Volkanov threw a head kick. Greg Hardy lifts his right arm up to block it. It breaks his bone, breaks his arm or whatever. And he just couldn't use his right arm for the last 2 rounds of the fight. Well, basically from for like half of the first round and then on out, he was like fighting with one arm. And he was still landing, still moving, but like there was just definitely spots where he was just like getting lit up. But he went all 3 rounds, and I think it was pretty admirable because that was like his 6th fight. For Volkov, it was about his 32nd fight. He's gone to war. He's knocked out a lot of legendary like heavyweights. He's a beast out there. I think he's only lost like 2 or 3 times out of like 32 fights. And he went 3 rounds with him and basically only had one hand for most of it. So I think there's a lot to show for it. Greg Hardy, I love his attitude where they were like, do you feel like there was any lessons learned? And he was like, absolutely not. He was like, either you win or you lose, and I lost, so now I need to go home and fix it. He's like, whatever was my plan wasn't the right plan because I did not win. So we need to go home and fix it. And it's like, yeah, that is exactly what it is. Like, he's like, fuck all that consolation prize. Like, I wanted to win. Like, that's all I'm going to say about Greg Hardy, man. You can feel how you feel about Greg Hardy if you feel that way. But it's like, I'm talking about the man today. I'm not talking about his past. I'm not stapling his paperwork on his forehead every time. I'm talking about the man today. We talking about the man today. Yeah. We're gonna talk about some stories. Let's get into some stories. We're gonna talk about some bullshit. Before we get into those stories, I just wanted to say that Khabib's cousin fought. Khabib Nurmagomedov's cousin fought yesterday. Big hype. They're like, oh, we got another Nurmagomedov. He's gonna come in here and destroy this dude if he could take him down. Takes the dude down. And I'd say my favorite thing to do in jiu-jitsu, or to attempt, I wasn't always able to get it on someone. I've never submitted someone with it. But to throw it at someone makes them panic, you know? And you can go for arm bars and shit like that. It's the triangle, you know? To hit a nigga with the triangle. And, sorry. And, the guy he fought, I think his name was like Swada, some Swedish nigga. And, he submitted him first round, like right away. Connor was tweeting like, "You're forever a failure," and I'm like, this is the perfect like steam to get Connor the rematch. Him just like clowning Khabib's cousin, who he calls his little brother. He calls it his little brother, so all he has to do is just keep clowning this dude for just tapping. Maybe even fight that guy. He can fight Khabib's little brother. Beat Khabib's little brother. Get the rematch. Beat Khabib. I feel like that's the course of action. If Conor fights Khabib again, he's winning that fight. He's winning that fight, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. He's winning that fight. Let's talk about these stories. We're talking about the Okie Dokes. The random Okie Dokes in life. We've all had them, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to just talk about a few brews. Just talk about a few instances. One of them is, no, they're all about me. We're only talking about me today. In my notes, I thought I was writing about some other shit, but then I was like, I'm not telling that story because it's not my story. It's not my story. I'm not going to tell it, all right? I'm not going to tell it. What we're going to talk about is this one time, I was at this party, normal party spot, you know, back in the day when I was like, at this day, I was 21. I turned 21 in November, so I was older. Most of my friends were still 20, so I would like still occasionally go to majority house parties at this point. Well, I would go to majority house parties at this point, and because my friends weren't old enough to get into the bars. But I was there with my girlfriend at the time, and I was there with my boy Rashid. And I knew Rashid had a fake ID. But he got a fake ID though. And I just need some water, I'm sorry. Got a little dry mouth. But he got a fake ID though. And so we're at this party at D-Mac's house, the normal party spot. That's where we usually went to the party for years. Since like I started hanging out pretty much on the east side and kicking it with motherfuckers, like D-Mac's house just somehow ended up being the spot. I never knew D-Mac before that point, but his house just ended up being the place to go through random motherfuckers. I think like maybe the homies knew him because I think he played like soccer with everybody, and I kicked it with the soccer niggas. So I think that's what it is. I didn't know him before then, but I also didn't kick it with a lot of them niggas back then. I didn't start kicking it with Rashid until like after high school. Anywho, so we're there at the party. Niggas is chilling. Kayla Wolf's there. Shout out to Kayla Wolf. We kicking it. And like these 3 Latin gangsters. 3 Latin gangsters. Very intimidating looking individuals. Very intimidating looking individuals walking to the party. Random as fuck. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We all know right away nobody knows these people. But nobody is going to say anything because hell nah. And I'm thinking in my head, it's time for us to go. All right, but I don't know how to like communicate that without seeming like a bitch ass nigga. How do I communicate right now as like one of the only black dudes right here? Like, it is time to go, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to go. That is what is going through my head. We gotta get the fuck out of here. I saw him and I was like, these young men mean business. And no, I mean, it was definitely not a race thing. It's just these super chatted up, with the shirtless, just it all looked very suspicious. We were like, holy shit. In my head, I'm sure everybody else was pretty terrified, but I was like, holy shit, it's about to go down. And I remember I'm in the kitchen, and I'm about to go from the kitchen to the living room, my nigga. And one of the gangsters is he's in the hallway. But he like moves as I'm trying to walk by him so that I have to like bump into him. And then he like gets in my face though. You know what I'm saying? In hindsight and in present moment was probably the most terrifying moment of my life. You know what I'm saying? And cause I'm like, these young men mean business. I can see it in their eyes. I saw it the moment they walked in. These young men mean business. These young men mean business. I didn't know how to communicate that. But this situation is happening right now. He gets in my face. I don't even know what he's saying, you know. And thankfully, the homie, Kayla Wolf, steps in and like puts her arms around this dude's like around him and was like, hey, let's go take shots. And he like looked at her, looked back at me like for like way too long, and then just like shook his head and walked off with her. Whew. Walked off, all right? I go to my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, yo, we gotta get out of here. She already peeped the situation like before that happened, was like, yeah, we need to get out of here. I go to the Rashid, I'm like, bruh, we gotta get out of here. And he's like, nah, I'll kick it. I'm like, bro, don't you have like your ID? Like, let's just go to La Piazza and just have like a couple beers over there or whatever. Let's just go kick it. And he's like, nah, man, I'm cool. I'll just stay here. And we're like, all right, bro, we're leaving. Like, we're leaving. And he's just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, he stays. Me and my girl, we go to La Piazza. Bar closes. I call my nigga Rashid. This is how I think it happened, or maybe I talked to him the next day, but I'm pretty sure I talked to him that night. Hit him up to see if like what happened and or where he's at if he needed a ride. Apparently right after we left, so it's D-Mac's house, but he also lived there with his roommate Sean. And one of the Latin gangsters was like pretend buddy with Sean. And like the way D-Mac and Sean, they used to just like get fucked up and like just joke around, like they'd kick each other's ass. Like they would just say that. They're just like, oh, I'll kick your ass. Like just joking. Like that's just how they talk to each other. I don't know why they thought that was funny. I've seen Sean in some shitty situations. He said that shit to this Russian dude, Tomas. Tomas wasn't playing no games. Tomas didn't know that they played them games. And Tomas beat that nigga ass. Tomas wasn't playing no games. Last time I seen that nigga Tomas, I think I seen that nigga, he was bouncing for like Site 1A, and I kept calling him, I think, Montes. I kept calling him the wrong nigga, and I didn't realize it. Like, I seen how angry he was getting, and I was like, oh shit, this is Tomas. I need to chill out. But anywho, I digress. Nigga Sean. So, one of the Latin gangsters is pretend buddying with the other roommate, Sean. D-Mac says, like, yo, I'll kick your ass. One of the gangsters was like, yo, don't talk to my guy like that, and like has a bottle of Jägermeister and just busts the bottle of Jägermeister over on D-Mac, like just breaks it on his face, and so everybody screams. Rashid apparently jumps up, rushes the dude that just hit D-Mac, and I think he hits the dude hits Rashid, and then like all the other dudes come and like they jump Rashid, they're jumping D-Mac still, and just beating the shit out of both of them. And Kayla, once it screams like, get out of here, I'm calling the cops. And I'm calling the fucking police, and they all just like left before the cops could get there. And yeah, I knew the Okie Doke was coming the moment they walked through the door. I was No, we don't need to be here for this one. I don't know what's about to happen, but I don't want no parts of it. And if Kayla Wolf wasn't there in that very second, something was about to go down when I was still there. They wasn't playing no games. God damn, they wasn't playing no games. D-Mac had to get stitched up. They split open his face with that bottle of Jaeger. I remember he was in good spirits about it. I think Rashid maybe left with a couple bruises maybe, but other than that, he was good. Like, you wouldn't like have told he just got jumped by a bunch of gangsters in the streets in a fucking house party. That shit was lit, my nigga. What the fuck? Like, them niggas did not give a fuck. I'm sure they didn't catch nobody in that situation, but apparently that was a thing that just like happens from time to time. Like gangsters is just like for like initiations or whatever reason just choose to show up at house parties, wreck shit. And they chose that house party. Trying to tell niggas, I was like, yo, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. These gentlemen mean business. Should've listened to old Germ. That's that nigga instinct. That's why, man, I saw this meme the other day or whatever. I don't know, is it a meme? It was a video. These motherfuckers, it was like, black people don't ask no questions, they just run. And I'm like, fuck yeah, if I see a nigga running just like full speed, I'm out of here. Something's coming, something's happening. I'm not finna sit here and see what's happening. I'm just getting the fuck out of here. That's how that has to be. That was my nigga instinct. Some motherfuckers be like, oh, what's going on? Let me find out later. That's why they call it the news. And I ain't trying to be on it. I'm trying to read about it. You know what I'm saying? Anywho. Yeah, I'm trying to read about it. I don't want to be a part of it. So another Okie Doke situation. I'm with the boy Rashid. I think I'm with the boy Willie. And for whatever reason, I think Black Moses is there. I don't know if he played any like integral parts of the story, but I think Black Moses was there. And there was like 3 random white girls from Ripon. They went to school with Rashid and Willie. And they wanted to kick it with them, but we were all kicking it, so like blah, blah, blah. We all like wanted to hang out. These white girls, we were in their truck or whatever, and they wanted to like find somewhere to smoke. They had got some weed, like a cheap 5 sacks of weed for $20 Connect that they would utilize back in those days. And they got this weed, and they were driving around looking for a place to smoke. And we were like near like Miller Park or some shit like that, like Veterans Park, some shit. We were someplace, I don't even know. It was like some terrible like cemetery. Well, not terrible, it was a cemetery. Which to me, I was like, yo, this is a terrible idea. I was like, let's just not go into this place. And the white girls were like, nah, it'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. We go in there. They park. The white girls spark this first blunt. They're hotboxing, which is like super sketch. And they're smoking. So smoky as fuck. I look back. I see a cop car pulling in. And I'm like, yep, the cops are coming. Roll the windows down. The white girls are like, no, we're not rolling the windows down. And I'm like, dude, roll the windows down. They're like, no. Fuck, they don't roll the windows down. Cop comes up, parks next to us, gets out. He says to us, are you guys smoking in there? The white girls say no. He says, roll the window down. She rolls the window down. Smoke hits this man in the face. He's like, yeah, get out of the car. Everyone out. Everyone out of the car. Lines us all up. He calls a second officer, which my nigga senses are telling me, as they should tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we're all getting arrested. That's what my nigga sense is telling me. My nigga sense is tingling. And when that second car is being called, that means we're all being arrested, ladies and gentlemen. So my nigga sense is tingling. We're getting arrested. But I'm in my head like, I don't have anything on me. I don't have anything. These white girls are smoking. You know? I don't have anything. We're in their car. They're smoking. I don't have anything. That's my mindset. Second car comes. And it's a younger black lady cop. And they're separating us, talking to us, yada, yada, yada. And he's talking to me like going to the judge and yada, yada. I'm like, dude, I don't have anything. Like, blah, blah, I don't have anything on me. He charges me, yada, yada. And we were with, he had us all with the lady cop. And me knowing I didn't have anything on me, for whatever reason, I'm just crazy, I guess. I started joking. I just tried to joke with the lady cop, the younger lady cop, and she laughed. She laughed, and then everybody else laughed. Like the other cop, he was like in the car doing some things, and so she said something back to me that was funny. She like cracks a joke, and we're all laughing. I'm we're going back and forth cracking jokes, me and this lady cop. And the other cop gets out of the car. He was like, I need everyone to stop talking right now. And he asked her to come over and talk to him. And they run all our information. And he pulls me to the side. And he tells me that he's training this rookie officer. And he thinks it's pretty unprofessional that she's joking around with me like that. He's like, it's not on me, but she should have not reacted that way. And he tells me that I need to watch the people that I choose to associate with. And he was like, because all those girls, all those young ladies up there are saying that I was the only one that purchased any marijuana, and that I was the only one that had smoked any marijuana. It was like all this shit. This is why I felt comfortable joking, because I was like, I don't have anything on me. I don't have anything. This ain't my shit. These girls who wanted to smoke at a cemetery for whatever reason. Which I was like, that's the dumbest idea. And sure enough, it was. He was talking about, this is federal property. This ain't state. These are other charges. Like, it's terrifying. And he's telling me that all these girls had claimed that I was the person who had, which is all lies. But all the other dudes didn't say that. So like, but apparently all the girls put it on me, which was like, fuck them. But I knew the Okie Doke was coming the second they went back there. I was like, fuck. I was like, we'd be better off parking at fucking that IHOP right there, just staying in that parking lot. I'm like, that's a better idea. They're like, no, it'll be all right. Nah, it was not all right. I mean, he let us go. He gave us a second chance because we were all clean. And I guess these girls were suburban. Maybe that helped. I say Willie's a suburban kid. Maybe that helps. I don't know. I'm just a motherfucking hood nigga. That's all I am. That's all I'll ever be, ladies and gentlemen. But that was pretty terrifying. I saw that Okie Doke coming. But it was like, thankfully, I made her laugh, you know. Had I not made her laugh, who knows what would have happened there, ladies and gentlemen. I made this younger lady cop laugh. And she started joking back with me. Then I made jokes. Then I think maybe Black Moses started chiming in some jokes. Because at this point, we were all laxed. We were all, at this point, because me and her are joking, we're all laughing. We're all laughing. At this point, we're all like, oh, we're good. That's how I felt. Because we're all just fucking dying laughing over there at that point. And that's why he was like, yo, this is not how this is supposed to go. This is not professional at all. We're over here having a good old time. So we were like, fuck. If we had got arrested at that point with how much fun we were having with that younger lady officer, I would have been fucking so shocked. I would have been so shocked. It would have been terrible. And it wasn't, I was like, I didn't even do shit. It was these white girls. We in their car. They came down here to do this shit with these people that I don't know. I don't even know them. I don't even know their names to this day. I just know they went to that college or something. Maybe they're from Ripon or Green Lake or some shit like that. I don't know. Oh, man. I think that's it for my stories. I think that's about it for my stories, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any more babbling? Any more bibbling? I don't even know what's going on with things anymore. What's going on with my boy Yang? I don't think he's gonna get the nomination. I was gonna talk about Mark Lamont Hill, but nah. I don't think you boys is ready for that conversation. Is you boys ready for that conversation? Let's try it out. Mark Lamont Hill, he got fired for what they claimed was anti-Semitic speech. He was like a CNN contributor. And what he said apparently was like this phrase. I'm uncomfortable saying it actually. And when he said it though, I took it as he wanted everyone to be free. I didn't understand anything that was until I was looking into this. I didn't even know what the situation was like with this whole Palestine thing. And then I'm looking into it and I'm like, wow, like because of this, it's a pretty wild situation. And what he said, he wanted to he said black people should never consider themselves free until Palestine is free. He says that's how people should think about it. It's how black people should view it. And if you look into it, it's I don't know, it's a wild situation. But because he said his statements, he was fired from his position. I agree with this guy on so many things. Like he was stating before the last election, and I shared this video. He was stating that he would rather have Trump win so that we can go through 4 years of hell and build a real left movement of what we actually need. And it's like we kind of were getting there, but at this point, it's still like we have to beat Trump. That's still what it is. We didn't really build a movement. We didn't really do anything. And people are so afraid to vote the Green Party so that we can have that constant person there. It's like, no, this person's fighting is talking about our needs. He's actually talking about things that benefits us. And like now everybody else has to act accordingly. Because this person is added to the conversation and he sounds more appealing. So now I have to adjust what I'm saying. I have to adjust what I'm offering to the people because now this guy sounds appealing. That's why you vote for people like Yang. That's why you vote for the little guy. Because adding those people to the argument changes the whole game. It puts it in a fair place. It puts it into the place. It makes it the system that it should be. It brings it back to the system that it should be. And that's where we're at with Lamont. He was fired. I don't know where he's gone since then. I just found out about the situation. I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't. I was looking up all these things. All I saw was like interviews afterwards. I'm not sure if he's doing anything. Maybe it's a podcast. But you guys should look into definitely Mark Lamont Hill. Pretty deep brother on the instance of a real left movement. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're going to go with that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to leave it right there. Thank you for rocking with me if you have been. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Hope you enjoy me babbling, going in for a little bit. If you want to follow the podcast on Twitter, it's Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, which I do most of my tweeting from, it's my name's Jermaine. It's mostly UFC Babble. If you want to email your boy for whatever reason, it's babylon5podcast@gmail.com. Can follow, subscribe, and listen to the podcast on babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to us on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or pretty much wherever you can listen to podcasts. We should be there at this point. Thank you all for listening to us or listening to me. I don't know why I feel like this is a group effort, but I mean, with a lot of people. When I tell these stories, like, everyone's involved. Everybody contributed to making Jermaine who he is today, making these stories what they are, you know. It's not just me here. It's all of us, you know. But thank you all for listening to the podcast. It's episode 12. I think we're going to call it the Okie Doke or some kind of shit like that. Like this and like that and like this and But it's episode 12. Thank you for being here. I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great week. And I'll see you next time. All right? Peace.